Welcome to What the Bible Says, a Lug Nuts podcast group production.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. You know, whenever you're listening to this.
Wherever.
And wherever, too. I mean, geez, we're across the pond.
Of course.
The western pond
Yeah.
in China.
Uh-huh.
I haven't checked in a while, so maybe we're still in China. I don't know. I think we're also in New Zealand, too.
Oh, down under.
Yeah. So,
Okay.
yeah. So we're all over the place. And I really am curious on how people found this little podcast here in Indiana.
Mm-hmm.
How did you run across this? Did you say, hey, are there four guys sitting around talking about the Bible somewhere, and I wonder what their names are? Let's look up the Lug Nuts. What is that gonna bring up?
What does that get for us? Who knows?
I'm just it's a general. I'm curious.
I'm curious.
Now, there's no way for them to get a hold of us, unfortunately. But again, if in heaven someday,
In heaven, maybe.
if someone comes up and says, "Hey, are you Kenny Cramer from the Lug Nuts podcast group?" I'll say yes, and then you can tell me how you run across this. Because again, it's just a general inquiry. I'm just curious. I'm just curious.
Just curious.
So we're back finally after a long hiatus.
Mm-hmm.
We're not talking about sports today. We are back into the book, Looking Up from the Stubborn Darkness from Edward T. Welch on depression, and we're on chapter 11. So we're just going to get started right here. And this chapter is entitled Depression Has Its Reasons, Other People, Adam, and Satan. And I find it ironic, Steve, that Adam is in here because in the book that we're going through outside of this is talking about Adam too. Yeah. And it's like, that's just ironic? No.
Right, yeah.
How
did that happen? Coincidence that happened? So.
Right. I don't think that's a coincidence either.
Mm-hmm.
So it starts off talking about, how Dan was depressed and had been for years. And he was tired of hiding it. And I underlined that, and it's because that was me. I was really hiding it, and I'm not trying to pat myself on the back here, but if someone were to have depression and hide it, I think
You're pretty good at it, huh?
I would have been pretty good at it because no one knew I was depressed.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if I would have gone around and say, "Hey, do you think I'm depressed?" People would say, "No." But yeah, I was definitely depressed, and I didn't want anyone to know. And I tried to make sure no one knew. So why I did that, I don't know. I probably should have just been open and honest. But
Sure.
And then,
Well, to be open and honest at that level, it's one thing to be open and honest about, do you like curly fries or French fries, straight fries.
right.
But, to be open and honest about something that's going on inside of you to that level is you're making yourself very vulnerable.
Yeah.
And to make yourself very vulnerable, a lot of times we don't have relationships that we feel like we could even make ourselves vulnerable, which is really sad. Because there's probably hurting people out there that, need that type of relationship. Again, I'll just take it 30 seconds down, a rabbit trail. That's, to me, why it's so important that you tag into the body of Christ and you develop relationships, because you don't need good relationships when life is peachy.
Right.
I mean, it's nice. I'm not saying it's wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Like we have right now. It's nice. But when you really need that is when Ecclesiastes 4 says, "Pity the man who falls down and doesn't have anybody else there to help pick him up."
Mm-hmm.
That's really and I think there's a lot of Christians that want friendships, they want relationships, but they don't work at it. So therefore, when they come to this point where they maybe are depressed Now, maybe they're just keeping it in just because they're just keeping it in. I don't know. But I think probably more people would, quote, spill their guts if they had somebody who they really trusted, to make themselves very vulnerable. So anyway, I'll bring us back to, okay, we'll come back off that rabbit trail and come back here. So anyway, yeah, but I think you're right as far as there's some people who are very good at disguising how they feel.
And then in that next paragraph, it talks about Dan's response and I guess he says, who will really listen to me? His answer, no one. And that was my mind during depression, because inwardly I was struggling with, it's that, you got God on one shoulder, devil on another one. It's like that inward battle of, okay, I want to share that I'm depressed with people. I want to get out of depression. Well, then on the flip side of that is, okay, you do that. That's great. Good for you. Who are you when you're going to be out of depression?
Right.
You don't know.
Right.
Are you going to be better? Are you going to be worse? So my depression was really holding me down in a way that, my mind was just going nuts. I guess you could say it was going nuts. Now, I wasn't curled up in a ball in a dark room, not eating for 3 to 4 weeks, as, a picture of depression might be thought of, but just it was one where I wanted to get out of it, but how would I didn't know how I would act or be without it.
Sure. Yep. Makes sense.
Anything for you on that page before we move on to?
No, I just really, again, the whole idea of this chapter is that, why, that's the question. Why am I doing this? Where is this coming from? Is it other people? Is it me? Is it Satan? That's kind of what we want to dive into here on this podcast.
Yeah. So on the top of 90, I am a failure, a complete failure. That's the problem. He was depressed, and an anger was certainly a contributor, but failure was probably the place to begin. And then skipping down just a little bit, guilt says I am wrong. Anger says you are wrong. Fear says I am in danger. Depression too has a message, but the message is usually not that simple. And yeah, the answer for me, it was, honestly, I think it was simple because there was one catalyst, and that was my mom passing away.
Right.
So unfortunately for me, the answer, well, unfortunately, but fortunately for me, the answer was simple. And then at the end of that paragraph, it might take some decoding before it's understandable, but it is worth the effort. And again, for me, it really wasn't that. It was pretty effortless to find the understanding of my depression. So, anything for you on 90?
No, I guess it just starts to get into, what they call in the history of depression, or, how does the process begin? Because it says emotions have a history. It just, on top of 91, it says depression doesn't just appear out of nowhere.
Yeah,
has its reasons.
Yeah,
and it's usually there's something that is an outside event, something outside of my control that comes at me, whether it's, of course, it's a people, an event, illness, whatever the case might be. Rarely do I just wake up and go, oh, I think I'm depressed.
Right.
For no good reason. Now, we may not initially know what the reason is, but we got to kind of drill down into that. But normally, again, I like it's either a people, event, illness, something that's going on. And the key to it is, the reason I become depressed because it's out of my control. I can't control it. And so that's, if you're a type A personality control freak such as I am, it doesn't take me long to start heading down that wrong path. And then that's where this little diagram that we've got, my internal beliefs have to kick in. And at that point, I've either got one or two options. I can either say, okay, God, don't like what I'm going through here, but I'm going to trust you, and your word's going to guide my direction and where I'm going to go. Or I choose to sinfully respond to it through anger, fear, worry, whatever the case might be. And this is where you just get the downward spiral then.
Yeah.
And it's this, it's one wrong response after another. And that's, I think that's what this is talking about. I'm not trying to be oversimplistic about it, but that's the whole idea.
Yeah.
It starts with an outside event I can't control. And now how do I respond?
And then after that first paragraph on 91, it starts off with depression, God gives grace to live in the midst of hardships. He also gives grace to investigate it more carefully. And that was something that I didn't do, was really, really investigate it. I knew where it came from. So, I mean, I did that part of it, but I really didn't sit down and do the real hard things. I was like, yeah, I'll do it some other time. So, yeah.
Right. And that's the whole idea here. Well, but in depression, usually, it's hard.
Yeah.
And when you're depressed, what do you want to do? I don't think.
Right.
That's where you just say, I think I've got a phrase that I think I might have shared before. It's on my office. My office, as you've been there before, is just nothing but a collage of just pictures and sayings. And it says this: you can easily determine the character of a person by the amount of opposition it takes to discourage him. Okay? If you falter in times of faith, how small is if you falter in times of trouble, how small is your faith? And I think that's what this is just talking about here. How much opposition does it take to discourage you, and how soon you're going to quit and give up? Because if you quit and give up, then you are going to become that pile of mush sitting in a dark room, sucking your thumb, not eating at all. And it doesn't mean that it's easy. Again, here's another phrase that we've talked about before: don't let your body be your boss. That's exactly what this is talking about right here.
Yeah.
Okay, because if you let your body be your boss, you let your emotions and feelings dictate the next step, that's where you're going to go. Oh, this is too hard.
Yeah.
You have to say, no, I have to push through that. There's part of this whole battle of depression that is on you. And that's probably the most loving thing I can say to people who are listening to me today. Okay? Whatever you're going through, I'm going through cancer right now. Okay? And it's hard. And whatever you're going through, I'm not trying to downplay what you're going through, but at some point in time, you got to suck it up and say, nobody can really help me here except Jesus, and I've got to call out to him. And that's what I think this is all talking about here. Something outside an event, out of my control has happened. I don't like it, okay, but I've got to do something about it. I just can't just that's where I just become a victim then. I do give up. All right, I'll stop. I'm into sermon mode here. Sorry.
No, it's fine.
Sorry.
It's fine. It's fine.
If the ushers will come forward, we'll go ahead and receive an offering now.
We want communion too, Steve?
Yeah. Nah, that's okay. I'm done.
And then in that next paragraph, watch your actions too. Sometimes our actions are more accurate reflections of what's really happening.
Yeah.
And that just kind of goes to, again, don't let your body be your boss right there.
Right.
And then on down on 91, even though the connection between certain events and the feelings of depression might have faded over the years, depression can often point to something or someone, a divorce, a serious accident, or an abusive past, just to name a few. perhaps one even can't accept all the responsibility, but still can be significant because it was either the first or the most intense. So, and again, for me, it was pretty easy. It was the most intense and the only thing for me, which was my mom just suddenly passing away. Yeah. And are there answers? Yes. But that wasn't the answer I was looking for.
Right.
It was the 3-word question everyone asks.
Mm-hmm.
Why?
Mm-hmm.
And you can look medically for the answer, but that's, again, it wasn't the answer that I was looking for. Am I ever going to get that answer? Maybe.
Who knows?
Maybe. But in all reality, probably not, because I'm not God. Thank goodness I'm not God. So, and there are, there's secrets that there are things that only God knows and only God's going to know. So.
Yep. And I guess that's that whole, when you come to that point of decision, that's where you can't let your body be your boss. You've got to say, either I'm going to trust God and his word and he's faithful, or I'm going to give in to my flesh. And that's where we're going to go now, is to say, okay, what are some of these basic categories that can be these external events, and just trying to help people say, okay, is it other people? Is it, is it Satan? What, is it Adam? Is it the curse? Whatever. So that's kind of where we're going to go from here, kind of leading on into the next section.
Mm-hmm. And then, so that next section is other people. And then going on to 92, if you had anything above the last paragraph on 92, way at the bottom, going into 93, go right ahead, because I only had one little thing. So if you had more than, never mind. We'll stop talking. And so on 92, way at the bottom, we'll just start right there. Thus depression in a strange way suits her. Talking about Linda. That way you have context, because Steve, you and I both know that a text without a context is just a pretext.
Right.
In a strange way suits her. She is numb, so she doesn't have to live with the sadness and regret. She feels like she can't think clearly, so outside authority isn't questioned. Every act of submission or doing the expected then contributes to a sense of depersonalization and loss of identity. And then still on 93 there, pain is usually tied to something that happened to us.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, that's really true.
Right.
Does this matter anymore? Does it matter to God? God's sovereign control over history, and our own personal stories make past situations more important, not less. What happened to us was not a series of random, unrelated events.
Mm-hmm.
And
well, and I think the thing that you can struggle with there is God's sovereign control.
Yeah.
That's where the why comes into, and that's where you have to say, as you've already alluded to, there are some secret things that belong to God that I'm never going to know about.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just, but can you live with that? I guess that's the point. And the answer is you have to, because if you try to drill down into it to the point you're going to understand it, there's going to be some things you're never going to understand, and you're just going to be loony as a tune.
Right.
Trying to figure that out.
Right. So the next section is now Adam and the curse on creation. And the only thing I had in this section on 93 anyway is nothing in all creation is quite right.
Right.
And it hasn't been since Eve took the fruit and ate of the fruit, and they gave it to Adam, and he ate too.
Right.
So nothing's ever been perfect.
Right. Right. I think this is where, that next paragraph says that the decline of our physical bodies is one possible cause of depression. Because of the curse on creation, and everything fell under judgment, we get sick. And so that can be a potential cause of, well, why am I having this depression? And again, we're not saying that this gives you a reason to continue to be in depression or to not seek treatment or to give up. But what it's just saying is well, it's like anything, you're troubleshooting your problem. You're saying, okay, anytime you have, you're the sound guy, you're the sound tech. If something's not right on the board, you got to go, okay, well, where's the problem? I can't really fix the problem until I go back and say, okay, come a solution. Unless I go back and say, okay, well, where is now? Sometimes it can be as simple as, hey, the board's not coming on and off. You go, not plugged in. That's a problem. Yeah, we'll fix it there. But obviously, so I think just being, these don't give us excuses, but they do help us to pinpoint saying, oh, okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay.
Then on 94, right at the top, physical appearance, chronic disease, and chemical imbalances are a short list of significant physical contributions to depression. So if you don't look a certain way, if you have some sort of disease or whatever, that can start this downward spiral of, why me? I guess why do I look this way? Why do I have this disease? Why am I fill in the blank? And then again, that just goes right back into what we've been talking about for the past couple of minutes: is don't let your body be your boss.
Whenever I meet people for the first time, especially, and if they've got some, they come in and say, I'm really depressed or whatever, they fill out a questionnaire for me. And one of the questionnaires, one of the sections is a medical history. And I'm really interested to take a look at and say, when's the last time you had a physical? Do you have any chronic diseases going on? And again, I'm trying to get to the point of saying maybe your depression really isn't a sin issue. Maybe the way you're handling it is not right. Because again, sometimes as biblical counselors, we have to say, well, the reason that you're in, that's what Job's friends. Job kept saying, Job, the reason God just dropped a bomb on you is because you got some sin. And that was not the case at all. And so I think as a counselor, I want to make sure that I'm not just immediately just assuming that you come to me, well, you must have some sin issue. And so this speaks to the point of, I would just ask people, maybe you need to go see your doctor. Maybe I would suggest that to you right now if you're listening to us right now. When's the last time you went and had a good physical? When's the last time you went and had, a panel of blood drawn and had, looked at your blood and just had, something. And again, it's not an excuse, but maybe you were trying to treat it more with, Bible verses and memorizing stuff, which is all good, but maybe, your blood sugar is all whacked, or your iodine, potassium is out of balance, or whatever the case might be. So I don't discount that too, to say, there is a health part of this that may be. So anyway, and I guess that's just what this little section is just talking about here.
Then the next little section is misery in work. And then when I was going through this, I was kind of miserable in the work, because the first time I read through the book, fun fact, I have now read this book 4 times. This is the 4th time. The first time I was working at Lowe's. The second time I was working at a place called GoPuff. It's like DoorDash, but different. It's like a mini market.
Okay.
But you order stuff.
Oh, okay.
And then it gets delivered to you.
Okay.
Yeah. So the second time I was working there, and that both of them were rough. And I had a lot of misery in the work. all that to say, yes, in this little section here, yes, there are times when God's original intent breaks through, and we find satisfaction in our labor, even if even if it isn't going to change the course of history. But misery is never far away.
Right.
The perceived meaninglessness of work is often a part of depression. It is usually work is often a part of depression. It is usually, however, a sign of depression rather than a cause.
Right. Well, it's easy to blame it,
Yeah.
I hate my job. Whatever the case. I hate the people, hate my job, blah, blah, whatever. And I think that's what he's saying is probably more of a sign of depression
Yeah.
than the cause.
Right.
But
Mm-hmm.
could be. I don't know.
Yeah.
It'd have to be a really miserable job to say I'm depressed over just my job is the only. Because if that's the case, then go get a different job, man. Quit your job.
Right. Right.
Well, some guy, in China right now is quitting his job because some nuts case in Indiana said, I need to quit my job.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. So, the only miserable job I have ever had, it was one day, and that was my aunt got me a job down in Plymouth at Oasis. It's a
Fiberglass.
fiberglass, yeah.
Oh, gosh.
Oh, yeah. Guess who rolled fiberglass for one day?
Yeah.
Me.
Yeah.
Guess who didn't go back?
Yeah.
Me.
Yeah.
Guess who got sick that day, too?
Yeah.
Me. I'm not saying, hey, look at me. I only worked for one day, but that's how long I could stand it.
Yeah.
I mean, I walked in and I was like, oh my gosh, what did I get myself into?
Yeah.
Started at 7 in the morning. From 7 in the morning till about 3, all I smelled was fiberglass. It wasn't fun. Steve.
Pretty miserable.
It wasn't fun.
Pretty miserable.
Yeah. So if you want misery, go work at a fiberglass shop and you'll understand. All joking aside now, the next little section is death. The worst of the cursed is death. You have lost loved ones, you will lose more, and they will lose you. There is no good death. And that's one thing I think everyone forgets is we're not gonna last forever.
Mm-hmm.
We're just little specks of dust. We're little blips in history, so we're not gonna last forever. Yet. We're not there yet. But until we are, we're here for a short time, and when our time's up, there's nothing we can do about it.
Well, and again, just says death renders everything meaningless, and I guess that's there is no good death. It's hard. I mean, that's and again, it's just you can know that mentally, all those things, but there's that finality of death, and that can just end. That can be depressing.
Yeah.
Very, very, because again, that's something that you can't control.
Mm-hmm.
Hebrews says the appointed unto man wants to die. There's no living to be, as in the Old Testament, Methuselah living to be like 900 and some years. It's like,
right.
No, not going to happen.
And he probably didn't look a day over 600.
Yeah, at least. Who knows?
I don't know.
Who knows?
But yeah, in that little part right there that you just mentioned, death renders everything meaningless. Why work? Why love? Why seek? Why pleasure? It is fleeting. Death swallows everything. Its tides wash away every footprint we have to leave. And then I put a little note there, Ecclesiastes 1:2.
Okay.
And that basically it's meaningless. Everything is meaningless.
Right.
Why do anything?
Right.
Just sit there curled up in a ball. That's your only option.
Right.
Basically what that's trying to say. Then on 94, right before the next section of Satan, we might not continuously think about death, but be assured that unless this enemy is dealt with head on, it leaves its mark on all earthly misery. And then the next topic of Satan, He does most of his work through strategic partnerships, partnering with the curse. He apparently can affect weather, Job 1, and bring disease. Partnering with our own hearts, he causes oppression, murder, and inhumanity in its manifold form. When he partners is unclear. The curse on creation and our own tendency towards sin can affect us without his assistance.
Mm-hmm.
So there is really no way for us to know the precise percentages of who contributes what. That is why when depression persists, we don't immediately say Satan did it.
Right. Yeah, that's what we just talked about.
Right.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to know, really. I don't have that ability, that Geiger counter, to be able to say, that is, satanic, demonic influence, or that's
Right.
just, bad pizza.
Yeah.
Person's acting that way because of bad pizza.
Mm-hmm. And
Okay.
then I think this is the last little topic before the response. This is necessary but not sufficient, and this is why is it that some people experience these circumstances and spiral into depression, and others don't. It is because these circumstances do not cause depression by themselves. Then on 96, before the response, the first full paragraph before, we are hard pressed on every side but not crushed, perplexed but not in despair, persecuted but not abandoned, struck down but not destroyed. And that's 2 Corinthians 4:8-9. Some people avoid the deeper reaches of depression because they are constitutionally steady. Others because their beliefs and confidence in God catch them before they fall too far. And the response, it's really short, just 2 sentences. It is not especially encouraging to review various contributors to your depression, but if possible, generate a short list of the most obvious ones. It reminds you that depression usually comes from somewhere.
Yep.
And I guess that's the main thing to take away, that depression has its reasons, some of which you might know, and some of which you're probably never going to know.
And this is, again, where a good friend can come alongside and just openly just say to that person, if you're struggling with depression, listen, I don't know what's going on in my life right now, why this is, and just allow that person just to ask some fairly sincere but maybe probing questions just to help you just think about, because sometimes you get another set of eyes on a situation can help you with, I didn't see that. I didn't think about that. That makes sense, or that that could be. So again, just the importance of relationships, having another person just maybe come alongside you and say, hey, look me through and through here and help me out here. So,
yeah. Well, that's going to do it for chapter 11. Lord willing, next week we'll be in chapter 12, and that is entitled Depression Has Its Reasons, Culture. So stay tuned for that. So any final thoughts before we wrap this podcast up?
No, just I hope today was just encouraging to those who are listening to us, all kidding aside. We like to be rather jovial at times, but depression is not a jovial topic at all. It's something we take very seriously, and I hope that today just helping maybe you to take a look at what is a potential cause, what's going on, have somebody come alongside you and help you, and as always, just keep plugging away.
Yeah.
I mean, that's where Satan wants you to quit. He wants you to give up. Don't let your body be your boss.
Yeah.
Hang in there.
Mm-hmm. So for Pastor Steve, I'm Kenny Cramer saying so long. We'll see you. We'll see you. You might hear from us,
or might hear from us
next week.
You don't want to see us. We have faces. We have faces for radio.
Yeah, that very true. So Lord willing, again, we'll possibly be on next week. So tune in then. So again, for Steve Cox, my name is Kenny Cramer saying so long, and we'll We'll talk to you soon. We hope you enjoyed the podcast today. If you did, please check out our website for more podcast episodes and shows at thelugnasspodcastgroup.com. Like us on Facebook and Instagram, and we will see you next week.